Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. New season alert. It's time for Season 7 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Buildup Media. We're starting the first round with a split sprint. 2 35-minute or 17-lap races at the legendary Hockenheim ring. Really love this circuit. It's fantastic in any class of car. It's a full field of Porsche 992 GT3 Cup cars making their way around this place tonight. And to bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV is myself, Reese Gardner, with Ross Rizzo alongside me in the commentary box, making his return to SimSpeed TV commentary duties after a long time out of the game. It's good to have you back, Ross. We got Jay Kennedy alongside us handling production as well. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, Ross. AOG Porsche Cup always brings up some fantastic racing.
Not to mention Porsche's in Germany. I mean, this is going to be great. You know, first round of a new season. We've all been away for a little bit over the Christmas break, so I'm sure everyone's very raring to go and happy to be back. So I'm curious to see how the racing will unfold tonight and what kind of championship scenarios start already.
Indeed. Speaking of championship scenarios, we should probably go over how it stacked up at the end of last season, Season 6. Well, in the AM class, Nicholas Garriich was pretty dominant across the course of the season. Always saw him in the top positions in the AM class, but Javin Wood, with a really good late season lunge, put himself up into second place. But those guys were a long way ahead of everyone else. There's definitely going to be some very good competition in that AM class. Of course, we are keeping the AM, Pro-Am and Pro class structure for this series, Ross.
Yeah, and that's an impressive season there from Nick as well. So we'll probably be looking to mix it with these guys you have on screen with the Pro-Am standing.
Indeed, Simon Mazzomo ended up coming home with the Pro-Am Class Championship after a season-long battle with Tyson Broad and Car 27. Dylan Shepherd also had a very good showing, finishing in third. Dylan has moved up to the Pro class for this season. And I have to say, going to the Pro standings, Ross, Bo Albert, there was no stopping him at the front of the field later on in the season. Matt Bowler and Cameron Dance definitely gave him a run for his money, and guys like Sebastian Flock and Job Stewart definitely could have been further up if they'd had better luck and attendance, but they can reset it this season and see what they can do.
Well, we certainly are familiar with the name of Bo. He's been knocking on the door of the World Championship license, so he's definitely one of the most credentialed drivers in Australia, I would say, because a lot of us can't even get that far. So absolutely all class from Bo. We know he's pretty handy in these. So and just a note on the whole split of the championships, I love the idea of a race within a race and a championship within a championship. There's so much to play for, and it should be great. We've got the so with round one on its way, there's so much that can unfold for the start of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll all be racing on this track, the Hockenheim Ring, at the same time. And competing for overall positions as well as individual class places. This is the layout of the Hockenheim Ring, the Grand Prix layout. was changed from its original high-speed run through the forest in 2002, and this layout initially got a very negative reaction from Formula One fans, but it's since proven itself as a pretty good layout for good racing. Lots of braking zones here, Ross, that they can sling one up the inside in, but they've got to negotiate that Sachs Curve Stadium section where the track is still very narrow. That particular section of the circuit down turns 11 to 15 dates back to 1967, and turn 1 at Nordkurve, well, the curb is always there to strike.
Yeah, very difficult track to navigate, and anyone who's driven that will certainly agree with that. And we've seen some almighty Grand Prix here, just add rain, some would say. And I would say with the grip that these cars have, you'd say you're on ice most of the time, with the rear end wanting to wiggle about. A lot of liveliness in these cars, so that'll certainly help spice things up right off the get-go.
Yeah, for sure it will. In fact, that's something that Jay and I were talking about just before we went live. Recently, there's been some updates to the physics and the tire model of the Porsche Cup car, and it has created a machine that a lot of drivers are having trouble getting to grips with. In terms of pace drop-off, there isn't really much as a stint goes on, but there is an awful lot of tire grip drop-off. It isn't always reflected in the lap time, but the car becomes much harder to drive as the tires go on. This is the format, and we're currently in Group 2 of qualifying. That's the other half of the Pro-Am class and the Pro class drivers, and there'll be some handy color coding for everyone to pick that out. We got 2 races of 17 laps each with no required pit stops. It's going to be an out-and-out sprint to the end. It's all going to be about how you can negotiate the cars around you. Pit strategy, Ross, will not come into it.
My favorite part, but I mean, we're at a track where overtaking comes at a bit of a premium. We've got a fantastic long straight, some big braking zones, so we should see some bold dives and people willing to show a little bit of risk and blow the cobwebs off for the start of the season. So this should be great.
Indeed, and we see that it's actually quite a reasonable track temperature there as well, coming up to 28 degrees Celsius, so a reasonable amount of warmth on the track, but not so hot that it gets too slippery very early on. The qualifying session is in sort of mid-afternoon conditions, and the sun is blazing down nicely out on track. There's Bo Albert running the number 1 on his car, and across the line he'll come. Not getting a lap time that he'd be too happy with to start things off. Had to back off on that first lap there. 1 minute 44 at the moment. That's 22nd overall, but we'll see what he can do on this lap. Bo's one of the drivers that we have on the Zoom feed for tonight. You can see the focus in his eyes as he enters onto the Parabolica, which is effectively the back straight of this circuit, even though it's a gentle curve to the left. Now, Ross, this corner coming up here, the Nordkurve hairpin, this is the slowest corner on the entire track. It is so tight. Look at how much braking and turning is needed to just negotiate it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it felt like he gave himself an entire airstrip, and he still went a little bit wide of the apex. He'll probably rue that a little bit, but on his way down into the next few corners, again, the car wants to just move around so much here. He looks like he's nailed the braking a little bit better this time, and a nice squeeze on the throttle, open up the left for the right-hander, and then mind the curb on the exit, and then this famous section that's got so much history you called out before, Reese.
Indeed, this stadium section added as some big modifications to the track in the 1960s, and that curve, you can use all of it and not get an off track. This is the Sachs curve, slightly banked, and sometimes running the wider line is the faster way, but in these cars it seems you've got to stick to the inside, then a little S-bend before you go to the final couple of turns, effectively one long double apex right-hander, and it's so hard to get the power out there because it's so quick, it widens onto the front straight. There we go for Bo Albert, that is more like it, up to second place. Just a 10th or so behind Matthew Bowler, who really pushed him for the championship last season. Matt Bowler, of course, having joined Evolution Racing Team last year, definitely getting his campaign off to the best start possible.
Yeah, noticing Matt featuring a lot more in GT racing, having competed in a different series, and he really ran away with what would have been the equivalent of AM Championship in what was the Mercedes, I recall. So getting used to the wings and slicks, you can see that he's on top at the moment. A fantastic flurry of laps from Bowler, Albert, Kurt, Thomas, and Coot to all be within 3/10 at the start of the session on the first run.
Indeed. We've also got some international representation here. This is Massimiliano Roldo of Italy in car 14 with a very nice looking machine. And he's running all right at the moment. We've also got a Scot in here as well, Gordon Ramsay, although he's not that Gordon Ramsay if that's what you're thinking. We'll see what Gordon can do here in car 103. Things looking good for him at the moment, solidly in the midfield, and Massimiliano is currently in at 6th place. We've also got the return of one of the original stars of the AusNZ sim racing community, Jonathan Salani. We saw him compete in the flat 6 category for V8 Scops Supports last weekend, and he is certainly on it in this session here. He's had a long break from iRacing, hasn't he, Ross? But it's good to see him back and competing up the top. He was the fastest in practice.
Yeah, great return from Jonathan. We were just talking off air that, back in the day, he had about a 4K I rating, which was definitely something worth boasting about. Not so much these days, given how much everything is elevated, but he definitely was among the higher pecking order. So he's probably surprised with how much of the deep end he's having to be thrown here. But it looks like he's doing a great job. He's got the ERT car behind him, probably trying to give him a hurry along, but also giving him a bit of a tow down the long straight.
Indeed. Let's see what he can do to put car 13 a little bit higher. His current quickest time is a 1 minute 40.301. That's currently good enough for 10th place right now. And as he comes through the final sector, we'll see if this lap is an improvement. Though that little bit of jostling with the ERT cars behind him probably would have compromised him slightly. Good line through the last couple of corners. Just tapping the brakes and then onto the power. Use all the curb on the exit. What is this time going to be? Across the line he comes. 1 minute 40.09, and that is a substantial improvement. He puts himself up into 6th place, just tipping Roldo off that top 6 there. But Zach Kerr here for Delta Sport, definitely showing that he has got some great pace here in car 16, 1 minute 40.029. In fact, that entire group of drivers from Bo Albert down to you'd even say the likes of Ben Peterson, incredibly close gaps there.
Yeah, that's amazing. You do have to remind yourself this is kind of a spec series where the driver makes the difference, but with how much these cars move around, there's so many different ways around each braking zone and each corner that it's amazing that after however many kilometers this track is, I'm very sorry I forgot what it was at the start of it, but yeah, you can separate an entire top 10 by less than half a second, and it might even get closer. The 1 minute 40.0 being the most popular bracket at the moment, with 4 drivers currently on it. You could even put Bo over there because he's 1,000th quicker than that 1 minute 40.
Indeed he is. Synergy Sim Racing's Hayden Veld, also a regular competitor in this series in car 53. He is looking for a little bit of improvement himself. We also see an improvement from Aiden Coote. He's just put himself into the top 5 there in the 066. But here's Hayden on the start of another lap. And he is one of only 3 drivers who have yet to set a time in this session. Looks like Mikey Howanich and Ryan Kerr have yet to set times as well. So let's see what Hayden can do. His practice times were pretty good. He was 4th in the practice session. So, a little bit of a lock-up, though, into the hairpin. That's going to compromise that. You don't see much betrayal of it on his face, though, so he can definitely come around and try it again. But I guess, Ross, that just highlights another pitfall that these drivers have in these cars. They don't have any traction control or anti-lock brakes, so it's all down to their inputs.
Yeah, as we've said, it's deceptively difficult to drive these cars, and with 6 minutes left on the clock, there's still time, but you don't want to have that added pressure of what we just saw with Hayden. Just probably only missed his braking marker by a car length or so, but sailed past that apex. And you imagine in a race, he'd probably be taking a car with him. So you want to make sure he's getting he's getting those spots nice and nailed. And given the tightness of the qualifying, that could be the difference between a row or two of positions. Looks like we've got the Mez on screen right now, sporting the black, pink, and white racecraft livery. You can see a little bit of movement from the wheel, but otherwise fairly smooth inputs. I think he's gearing up for a lap actually, so he's going to want to squeeze on the steering, on the inputs, and on the throttle to make sure not to over agitate the car getting the run onto the straight.
Yeah, well, here he goes then. Simon Mazzomo, Pro-Am champion from last season. He's graduated to the Pro class thanks to that. And his recent career, since he joined 9.5 Sim Sports, has been a steady upward trajectory. He's shown himself to just be improving race on race, it seems. And a nice smooth exit out onto the Parabolica. Let's see what he can do. Looks like some traffic just up ahead. That's Zach Kerr there lifting off and allowing Mazzomo to go on by. Kerr, I think, on an in-lap because he's just gone to second place there, tipping Bo Albert off that top two. Very good performance from Zach. But Mazzomo is looking to make an improvement here on what is 14th place, with Ryan Kerr finally putting a time on the board and putting himself into 7th. Nicholas Gariich, the AM class champion from last season, moves up to 19th as well as Mazzomo negotiates the Mercedes Arena section of the lap. And I'm seeing that his inputs are nice and smooth for the time being. Hopefully this final sector works out for him.
He's got just shy of a 10th to nab a spot off Hinsey, but once he can break into the 2s and even the 1s, he'll find himself knocking on the door of the top 10, so as is how close it is. Oh, there's a bit of smoke screens on the front straight. I did see Corey McFarlane do a 360 coming onto the straight, which was quite spectacular. Not good for lap time, but he's done it in front of a big crowd. Oh, that's a little bit wide there from Mez. He'll avoid the off track, I think, there, as he brings it round to complete his lap, and it is good enough for a... Has he improved there?
No,
doesn't look like an improvement.
It hasn't counted. He got an off track somewhere, and he also had a little squirm on the way into Sachs curve, so I think this is going to be take 2 of potential improvement for Mazzomo. He's got another driver to beat of Mikey Howanich. We'll get a replay here of Mr. McFarlane for Drop Bear Motorsports, and, well, that's what happens when you hit the curb wrong in the final corner. Remember that these cars have a flat 6 engine that is situated at the rear of the car, and no, it's not in terms of mid-engined when it's like over or in front of the rear wheels. It's actually just a little bit over the rear wheels, maybe even hanging out past the rear axle, so there's plenty of weight in the rear end of the car. So when you get unsettled, Ross, the rear end acts like a pendulum. There's almost no saving it.
Yeah, these guys here certainly have a lot more patience than I do, because I would have spun this car many a time in a less classy fashion than Corey did, just being able to dip the clutch and keep going. But amongst all of that, we've seen some huge improvements at the top of the timesheets. Salhani's gone to provisional pole, with Bowler improving to a 39.7, leaving Josh Thomas on the 39.8 on the second row.
And there goes Massimiliano Roldo up to P4. That's another excellent improvement there. Car 14 doing very well, only a couple of tenths off pole position right now. Bo Albert is going to have to respond here in car 1. He has got over 3 tenths to make up. And there is Mikey Howanich, who has managed to put himself in between Hins and Mazzomo. And if Mazzomo wants to beat him, he'll have to find 6 thousandths of a second, which is easier said than done at the best of times. Veld, meanwhile, still struggling to set a time here, Ross.
Yeah, might be doing a back of the grid challenge, maybe involuntarily, but this looks like a slightly better lap from Hayden. But if he can cope with the pressure a little bit, if he's coped with the pressure well, he should be able to feature among the top guys here. So he's well, see the flash of the lights as he's revving that flat six to within an inch of its life, and then bringing the speed down on the brakes, with the rear dancing on the rear axle, as you say, squirming a little bit out of the stadium section. Final two corners, it looks pedestrian, but he will be working pretty hard there. Not as much curb use as we've seen so far this session. How about on the exit? Oh, a little bit of a squirm, but he'll need this time, but he's still got one more in the bag if he needs.
Oh, 1 minute 40.7, it seems, to 22nd place for Hayden Veld. He won't have an opportunity to improve on that, though, because we are running the heat format for this session. Once qualifying time hits 0, then we'll be bumped straight to the first race. So drivers coming up to the end of their laps here will have their grid positions set in stone. A little lock up there for Zach Kerr into Sachs Curve. Let's see what car 16 can do to improve on that current P5. He has to make up a 10th to get into 4th, and around about 3/10 to get to provisional pole position. That's using all of the curb and then some on the exit. Is this going to be an improvement for him? 1 minute 40.2. It's not, unfortunately, for Zach Kerr. That's going to be P5 at best for him. 10 seconds to go in the session. Anyone coming across the line? Corey Lazarus in car 4 stays 10th. Tyson Broad currently 12th, and he's not going to make it to the line in time. Unfortunately for him, that's going to solidify the grid for the first race here at Hockenheim. Round 1 of the AOG Porsche Cup, presented by Bowler Media. And Jonathan Solani takes pole position for the first race of the season. He'll start alongside Matt Bowler on the front row. Josh Thomas for Evolution Racing Team joins Bowler there in the top 3 alongside Massimiliano Roldo. Zach Kerr and reigning champion Bo Albert will round out the top 6 here. In 7th place, Kobe Williams for Eclipse Simsport. He started alongside Aidan Coote with Ryan Kerr and Corey Lazarus in 9th and 10th. Linsell starts 11th. And then, Ross, we got Tyson Broad starting in P12. That is a great first part of the field.
Indeed it is. And then following up in 13th, we've got Pedersen and Wayne Burke, a surprisingly low qualifying. We are used to seeing him perform extremely well in the supercar, so I'm curious to see how he go with this beast. We've got Tom Hins and Simon Mazzomo, the pairing on our cameras, so tune into them. Then we've got Hoenick, Ramsey, Sheedy, and Steve Tonkin rounding out the top 20.
Yep, Nicholas Gariich starts out at 21st alongside Hayden Veld with Ben Holiday and Corey McFarlane rounding out the top 24 places. We got Stefan Lawrence and Alan Dawson making it an all-riot sim racing row there, with Josh Lane and Javin Wood starting behind them. David Clark and Dean Landy round out the top 30, and our field is finished by Martin Lofthouse, Nicholas Timores, Tim Betts, Isaac Edwards, and Patrick Harding. 35 cars taking to the start. Dan Yeaman and Matthew Kefford are race control here at Aussie Online Gaming. They're lined up in their McLaren 570S GT4s, just in case we need a safety car. And there is manual safety cars in this league. Coming down to the time now. We're about to get the start here. The revs will rise up at the front of the field. Can Solani make a good getaway, or will Bowler overcome him into turn 1? We find out right now. Good start from the front of the field. Unfortunately, it looks like a slight bog down from Bo Albert. He has been swallowed up there by Kobe Williams. Into turn 1 they come. And it looks clean through the first half of the field, but we've already got our first spinners off into the runoff area at turn 1. Wade Sheedy and Javin Wood have both come a cropper there in the first turn of the race, but it's 3 wide for the lead on the exit of turn 2. The double-pronged Evolution Racing Team attack on Jonathan Solani. It's a single-pronged attack now because Josh Thomas has been sent off the circuit, and now Kobe Williams will have a go at the lead here. Solani trying to protect here, but Matthew Bowler, he is facing losing 2 positions here. Down into the braking zone for the hairpin they come, and Williams will lead, but he locks up and goes straight on. Solani as well locks up, and Bo Albert gets back into the race lead. What a first lap so far. There's a pile up in the midfield meanwhile, Ross, or just about. We've got a car around, and that is Ryan Kerr.
Well, we've got another collision up front. We've got 4 cars involved.
Oh my God.
All contesting for the lead. So
Oh
we've
my
got
God.
Sacco, we've got an ERT car. I think that's Bowler. Oh my goodness, and it's still continuing here.
Oh, okay. It looks like we're going to have to get a replay once things cool down here because that looks absolutely chaotic. Solani, our pole position man, was one of the cars involved, and Bowler too. It looks like Kobe Williams has had another incident there, and unfortunately that's taken off Thomas Hins too. Oh, wow. So who leads now? Well, it's Bo Albert. Massimiliano Roldo has somehow managed to survive this, and the safety car has been called by AOG Race Control. We will see that McLaren jump out in front of the field, and it's going to be driven by Dan Yeaman. So, oh, goodness me. It's time to queue up some replays, because my goodness, Ross, we've got a lot to dissect there.
Yeah, grab that qualifying order we showed you about 3 minutes ago and throw that out the window. It is completely different. So Albert leads from Roldo. Then we've got Linsell, who's come from 11th to 3rd, Roard from 12th to 4th, Pedersen 13th to 5th, Hannewick 17th to 6th, and Hayden Veld, after that rather underwhelming qualifying, 22nd into 7th. That'll sort that out. But there was a lot of attrition in that to make that happen. But these guys have managed to avoid it. But there's still a lot of damage on some of these cars that have managed to survive. So I wonder if they'll take this opportunity to get some repairs done under the safety car, or just try and bear it out for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because there's no fast repairs in AOG Porsche Cup. We'll go to car 4 for our first replay. Corey Lazarus, unfortunately, not having a good time in the hairpin. There was the incident that happened up ahead, and Lazarus, well, he ended up tapping, and then Simon Mazzomo, unfortunately, getting involved in that too. You just saw him there with that big whack, unfortunately. Thomas Hins getting a little airborne, and then it just continued because Lazarus coming up on something difficult here with quite a few drivers involved. Oh, Wayne Burke and Simon Mazzomo. Oh my goodness, Simon Mazzomo just went straight into the hairpin there, trying to yield the position, but unfortunately there was so much going on around him that he couldn't quite get it done cleanly, though he did get it done. And then Wayne Burke side by side there. We've also got, unfortunately, Jonathan Solani getting into Aiden Coote, which then ended up taking out 2 other cars. That's what happened for that big incident at turn 8, I believe. Thomas Hins as well. Well, Kobe Williams, unfortunately, having to make an adjustment mid-corner as Hinsey came around the outside, Ross. I think that's just a case of frazzled nerves getting the better of a lot of drivers here on lap 1.
Yeah, and I think a lot of wrong place, wrong time as well. Like, there were a lot of incidents there, and some of them looked a lot worse than they ultimately were, but they were probably just slightly off the mark in terms of the brakes, their braking marker, maybe a tire's not up to temperature, and you just see cars skittling everywhere. It was quite remarkable, the domino effect that we saw. And then some light contact in some areas and heavier contact in others, either sending cars around or even airborne. So not ideal in any way, shape or form. But you know, the chaos and the nerves from for race number 1 of the season. Well, sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll correct myself from before. There is 1 fast repair available in this race, and we have an ever-growing list of drivers who have used that fast repair in the tour through the pits under the safety car. So Wayne Burke, Simon Mazzomo, Luke Betts. We've also got Ryan Kerr. Tim Betts, my apologies. Ryan Kerr also using the fast repair. Landy and Timores have also used theirs, but crucially Thomas Hins has not used his fast repair. 100 seconds worth of repairs in the pit box there for car 52. He is dead last at the moment, but crucially still on the lead lap.
Yeah, he will get to the back of the field in time, I think. Well, we are about halfway around the lap. Yeah, he should get there in time for the fun stuff of racing. So we'll see how many positions he can pick up from the back of the field. But he has probably made a mistake in not being able to tick that fast repair and had to sit for nearly 2 minutes of repair here. So we've got Bo and Roldo at the start. I'm kind of expecting those two to duke it out, but I could also say expect and then that be totally shattered by the time we get to turn 3. But we'll see how these guys try to make sure they don't let these two skip away. We've got a very jumbled up grid here. Hopefully the guys have sorted themselves out in terms of the nerves and getting into the swing of things. So we'll see if there are any bold moves heading into turn 2 and up at the hairpin.
Yeah, it's a single file rolling restart, so things should be a little more controlled, but we'll see what happens if drivers make mistakes coming through turn 2. That will compress the field and potentially result in some more shenanigans at the hairpin. So, Bo Albert, starting 6th, ended up elevating himself to the lead just by avoiding getting involved in incidents. Let's see what happens when he decides to put the power down. He can do it any time from now. And the field backs up behind him, and away he goes. Bo Albert getting a really good restart. There's some overlap for 3rd place. Tyson Broad had to back off so that he didn't pass Sean Linsell before they got to the start-finish line. The rest of the field making their way down the straight now, nice and cleanly. Okay. Now let's get things started. Oh, there's a move. Tyson Broad trying to get up the inside of Sean Linsell, and they're side by side on the exit of 2 and through turn 3. Tighter line for Linsell. That is going to give a potential position to Ben Peterson here in car 81. Down to the hairpin they will come, and Bo Albert leading by half a second over Roldo as Linsell almost gets back past Tyson Broad around the outside, but outside line for him. That's going to give the position to Peterson as well.
Magnificent opportunism. Oh no, and it's happened again. So we've got the 94 facing the wrong direction, and Matthew Bowler again involved in issues. Oh, they're just going to skittle around him. Oh, nicely done by the field there, I must say. And a nice little flick spin to boot off. But it's just all kicked off again in the midfield. But it was clean up the front and a very nice overtake at the hairpin from Pedersen and
yeah, indeed it was. Unfortunately there for Corey McFarlane, that was getting tapped around there by Matthew Bowler, who has just redressed the position. That is a big shame there for the driver who started 2nd, and also for McFarlane as well, who was on a really good run, having halved his total positions down the field. There goes Jonathan Solani trying to make up some positions, just making his way past Wayne Burke at Sachs Curve. That looked like a nice clean overtake from my perspective, and now hopefully we'll start settling into some kind of rhythm here. A couple of drivers going off there, Simon Mazzomo and Javin Wood having to use the drag strip in the final couple of corners, Ross.
Yep, give these guys all the room in the world. They'll take more of it. Is Mazzomo planning to go around the outside at turn 1? He does. He does have to extend the track limits, but he's got it done. And now under attack is the purple Porsche. Having to defend into turn 2. It looks like it's too little too late. Oh, Mazzomo's missed it. No, and he makes contact just ahead. And more collisions here. 3 wide again, heading into the hairpin. And more drafted heavy brake shenanigans to come.
Oh, goodness me. We're only on lap 5, guys. We've got another race to go after this one. All right, so now it's Mazzomo versus Isaac Edwards. Both cars now carrying a bit of damage. There goes Edwards up the inside of Mazzomo. Mez is going to have to give some room here, as steaming into the corner was Javin Wood, and Ryan Kerr getting a better run through the hairpin as a result. There's Isaac Edwards on the Zoom feed, and Edwards, he's doing all right at the moment. Despite the damage he's picked up, he's gained 10 places, but he's going to lose some there, having overshot the braking zone. And another car spinning. Is that Javin Wood who's gone around? It is, and Nicholas Timores has as well.
Oh my goodness! Oh, look at the massive explosion on the exit of the sweeper there. Will rejoin okay, I think, here, but he'll be disappointed with that with Wade Sheedy in 21st. Oh, the rejoin is going to be all right. He's going to be straight out of the freezer and into the frying pan with Mazzomo trying to line him up on the outside. If he holds it there, he'll have the inside for the double right. It looks like he's going to size that one up. Lovely, nice little bit of hip and shoulder. That might open the door for the 199. to have another crack into turn one.
Yeah, definitely might. On board with Ryan Kerr. This is now a 3-car pack. We'll see what Mazomo can do to jet away from these guys as Sheedy takes a lot of the anti-cut curb there in turn one. Big unsettle there for Mr. Sheedy. Looks like they've sorted themselves out for the time being. No big moves, no mistakes, but a little bit further forward, it looks like Jonathan Solani is trying to make up a few more spots. We're going even further up ahead than that, though, because the ERT machine of Josh Thomas getting past Zach Kerr at the hairpin. Single file through there for them. And, oh, Gordon Ramsay is spun out of the hairpin. That's going to give a position to Jonathan Solani and everyone behind him for the time being. And Ramsay's having some trouble getting that thing turned around.
Yeah, just looking at this headwind shot here, you've got a couple of mixes of the pros and pro-ams mixing with the at the front of the field here, showing a little bit of punching above their weight here and making sure that they're hitting their mark. So this is a really good showing from some of the guys a little bit further down in their respective classes, but having a great run. So here's Pedersen on screen, 4th outright, and currently, oh no, there's our pro-am leader in Tyson Broad in P3.
Doing quite well is Tyson Broad. And, well, he's got the top 3 behind him, Peterson and Linsell, but all fighting for Pro-Am honours. Car number 5 having to almost make way for Corey Lazarus. Josh Thomas there in the Pro class and Lazarus in Pro-Am. And this is something we're going to be seeing all season. Is drivers in different classes fighting with each other. Thomas has got a lot of damage to the front end. It looks like it's killed his straight line speed because Lazarus is just steaming by through the Parabolica and has no trouble assuming that position into the hairpin. Here's another pass. Hayden Veld versus Mikey Howanich. And Hayden Veld getting by into 6th. It's been a really good run from Hayden Veld here. He said that he was 9/10 faster on his race setup than his qualifying setup. So that definitely tells you something about how much pace he's got under his belt here.
Yeah, shame you couldn't translate that in qualifying. He would have been right up the front, but doesn't matter. He's up there now and has a shot at the top 5. Amateur leader on screen, Steve Tonkin in 18th place. He's got no one around him, so he'll be absolutely thrilled with that. He'll be able to try and hit his marks and hopefully extend on that lead, keep it clean, and with only a few laps to go, hopefully bring home a very nice round 1 victory.
Absolutely. The battle for 2nd overall, meanwhile. Remember, Tyson Broad is the Pro-Am leader. Well, he's harassing the back of Pro and overall P2. Massimiliano Roldo having to look in his mirrors here. The man from Italy. Not too often that we see international representation in series like this in the OzNZ SimSphere. It's awesome to see that that Roldo has really put up a good fight here. A little mistake there from Broad on the way into turn 3. That allows Roldo a little bit of extra breathing room, but the slipstream will come into effect down here. Let's see what he can do.
We did hear a bit of aggression over the radio about a collision between Solani and Burke, so we're going back to have a look at what's transpired between these two fiery guys.
So Burke gets a run out of the right-hander, but no, didn't look like that move was going to happen. That sent Solani straight into the tyre barriers. What a huge shame for our pole sitter. Yeah, in my opinion, that move was not on, and potentially race control will have a look at it as the troubles continue for Solani at the hairpin. It looks like the 052 is Stefan Lawrence. Right, Sim Racing crew, watch the re-entry, mate. Oh goodness, the hairpin is just an absolute graveyard at the moment, isn't it? Race on Oz's Isaac Edwards coming a cropper there as well. We're going to have to stay live though, Ross, because this battle is heating up here for 2nd. Roldo is getting harassed by Broad, and it's bringing Peterson, Linsell, and Veld right into it.
Yeah, Tyson's showing some great pace at the moment, so I'm wondering if Roldo is going to pick his battles here. He's got the run out of turn 1, so he's going to have a go at the pro driver here for P2 outright. No, he's not. He's going to stick in behind, perhaps wait until the hairpin, but this is a very interesting scenario. What does Roldo do here? He seems to be struggling to be able to get away from Broad, who looks like he's on a bit of a charge, and he's bringing some friends with him. How does he mitigate the risk and mitigate the damage here? Bo's gone into the distance. He's not going to catch him, but he's got a few drivers in behind. I think Hanawick is the next car in his class. How does he manage the risk here?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Because, you know, these are only short races, so you have to be driving at 100%. He's going to have to manage the corner here because Broad gets up the inside. And, oh, it was very close to Peterson getting into the back. A Roldo there, but backs off. And that's going to be down to third overall now for Massimiliano. But he is still fighting with Tyson Broad. So plenty of more overtaking opportunities towards the end of the lap. We got some news that flashed up on screen there. Black flag for cars 89 and 01 for exceeding the incident limit. That's Wayne Burke and Simon Mazzomo. Very unfortunate for those guys. And Jonathan Solani, as a result of the various incidents we saw him involved in, he's retired. So our pole sitter is out.
Oh, that is such a shame. He was having such a good return, as at least until the flag dropped. You know, hopefully we'll see him back. He's got some excellent pace. But looking back at this, it looks like Broad is able to manage to pull away ever so slightly. So Roldo in a difficult position again, probably going to have to fight off Pedersen here. And he's got a hard-charging pro in behind him as well. And as we got Hinsey on screen, well, too wide here. We've seen a couple of incidents here, and that's, yeah, just the slightest of touches. Not sure if the move was totally on. McFarlane, though, getting into the rear of Hinsey, who does a 360 and gets back on his merry way.
But unfortunately, we're hearing it gets worse. There's Hinsey spinning. And did I hear something about a mechanical black flag? Yeah, and that's the reason why. Backs it into the wall. Well, that's where the engine is.
Oh, yes, recall he was stationary for 100 seconds, not getting that car repaired. Oh, here we go, and the move from Veld. Oh, he locks it up and just threads the needle to miss Roldo. But Pedersen comes back, and now he's going to have to fight off the ERT car here of Sean Linsell, who's got on the inside. The Pro-Am is going to get that done quite convincingly here, I would hope. Oh, he's trying to force him off here. Not force him off, but trying to not give him as much room as he can get away with. But he holds it off. A fantastic move from Veld. Fairly clean exchange, but how is the counterattack going to look?
Yeah, well, you saw Veld's eyes moving around. He was looking in his mirrors as he completed that move, so he'll be right onto it for any kind of attack from Sean Linsell. And nice and smooth into the braking zone as well. Linsell a bit more aggressive on entry, but that compromises his exit. So I think Hayden's going to have a little bit more breathing room now coming into the last 8 laps of this race. Back further in the field, this is the battle for 19th to 21st. Corey McFarlane, who we saw spun around, unfortunately, a little bit earlier. Back here with Matthew Bowler, who also had an absolutely horrendous first lap, and you can see how much damage that rear end is carrying. They got David Clark with them, who's part of the AM class. It seems to me that the battle is between these two. Clark currently second in AM, with Tonkin just jetting away with it.
Yeah, he's in a good position there, so he doesn't have to worry too much about the guys squabbling in front, and can manage his own race here. But yeah, Bowler really trying to make up for the damage in that car. You know, he qualified extremely well right up the front, so we know he's got the pace. And McFarlane, we know, is certainly a handy steerer, so he's got an uphill battle here to try and fight. And we saw before with the straight line speed disadvantage that we saw earlier that you're sometimes defenseless to even try here, and you can see he can't do anything about the car ahead of him with the draft.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Car 369, Javin Wood, got a black flag for exceeding the incident limit. That's a drive-through penalty automatically assigned by the iRacing sim. He's already served that and is back out on track, down in 29th spot right now. Meanwhile, top 5. Hayden Veld, Sean Linsell, Haranich and Kerr, all together here trying their best to come up against the might of the drivers in the top 2. Unfortunately for these guys, there's no chance of them getting the lead because Bo Albert has been far and away from any kind of drama, and he's just been pounding out very fast lap times. He leads by 5 seconds now, but Hayden Veld is currently the fastest car on track. He just set the fastest lap of the entire race. Howinich, though, easy does it. Going to try his best here, as that's Ben Holiday making a move, trying his best to get past the 99, doing quite well to keep 2 cars behind him. Garriott and Dawson having to yield for him there in turn 1. That's going to bring Aiden Coote into this in the bright yellow machine in the background.
Yeah, this will certainly spice up over the next few laps as well. These guys pretty evenly matched on pace, and very much in that at the end of that, you saw at the that he was late to go. Oh, he was almost into the back of him there, but he was late to yield the spot, even though it was long gone. He was willing to fight for it to the very end there, and now he's going to have to counter-attack to try and get the spot back.
Indeed. Ben Holiday exploding onto the scene in AOG's Summer of GR86 League that we broadcast over the past couple of months here on SimSpeed, and definitely showing that he has great potential in Porsches as well. He is now up 11 positions now after starting 23rd, and that's with damage sustained in the carnage in the opening laps here. Bo Albert crosses the line and begins his 13th lap of this race. 1 minute 40.1 for him, and no one else can get quite close to that, basically within a tenth of Bo. No one is able to do that. So it seems like car 1 is running away with this, despite qualifying not quite being up to his standards. The battle for 4th, though, Ben Peterson having to face up against Hayden Veld, and the slipstream starting to come into effect for car 53 at the other end of this straight that we're looking at right now. Holiday getting a good exit there, and we'll keep it going, but it looks like Veld has just made the move on Peterson.
And Sam Kerr just had a moment having a go at Hunnewick, and they just managed to thread the needle and get away with it. But a big lock-up, and it sets him back a couple of laps because he's been working hard at that. Pedersen having a go at Veld here as well. Oh, I think they've made contact there.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, and he's around.
Oh, no. Veld not happy with that. And, well, I don't know. That's an interesting move, or an interesting incident, because it looks like Pedersen was well alongside. It's just Veld turned in, and it's a very narrow turn. It's a single line affair through that corner. So I think it might just come out to be a racing incident in the end. We're not going to find out for a while, though, because race control has announced that all incidents from after lap 1 will be reviewed post-race, and the penalties are starting to come in here as we enter the final few laps. We've got a 15-second time penalty for car 416. That's Dean Landy. No further action on the contact between cars 03 and 99 on lap 1. Also no further action for the incident between cars 5 and 13, and 13 and 994. That was Solani and Kobe Williams, but there is a 10-second time penalty for car 4 of Corey Lazarus. That was for contact with Ryan Kerr on the first lap. So Simon Mazzomo given a black flag for contact with Wayne Burke on lap 1, and this is big. Massimiliano Roldo in P3 has been given a black flag for contact with Kobe Williams on the first lap.
Oh, and just as it was starting to look after that exchange we saw just before, and we just saw a car go into the inside fence, and that is Corey Lazarus, who's damaged his car as well.
Unfortunate for Corey. It looks like he might have just received news of that penalty and got a little distracted. Who knows? But he's gotten back going.
Meanwhile, that was Kobe Williams making a decent recovery back into the top 10. He was backwards twice on the first lap.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome to see that Kobe Williams has been doing such a good job to get himself back up there. Got another black flag for Stefan Lawrence. That was for contact with car 87. There's what happened to Corey Lazarus. Looks like the wheels just spun up on the curb.
Yeah, you feel like a passenger in that scenario. You feel like you've just about nailed the corner, but then the car says it doesn't quite have the grip you expect from it. And here comes Massimiliano Roldo, the big developing story in the last lap, having to serve that drive-through. He'll drop probably just outside the top 10. He'll be fired up, and if he's got the pace, he might be able to still salvage a result. In fact, there goes Kobe Williams. He's got Hayden Veld right in behind him. The three of these guys have a big story to tell.
That they do. Well, Massimiliano Roldo re-enters the circuit. And Hayden Veld right behind him, Kobe Williams up ahead. And remember, it was an incident with Kobe Williams on lap 1 that triggered that black flag for Roldo. So that story is not over. We'll check in with it soon. Meanwhile, Ben Peterson finally finds himself in 3rd spot, but he's got Sean Linsell harassing the back of him. They've also got the 2 pros of Mikey Howanich and Zach Kerr just up behind them. Kerr in car 16 and trying to round up Howanich in the braking zone. Not able to make all that much progress as things stand. 3 laps to go. Time is rapidly running out.
Yeah, these guys will probably continue to duke it out, but they probably would be interested in having a crack at the podium ahead. Seeing the carrot dangled not very far in front of them in those 2 Pro-Am drivers ahead of them, who are absolutely punching above their weight and having a fantastic race so far. I think they might... Oh, there's a bit of a wiggle there from, I believe that was Kurt. Won't cost him too much, but it does bring car number 16 a little bit closer in the important braking zones coming up ahead.
Indeed it does.
Oh, and another wiggle. He's got him alongside here. This should be one and done, if depending how long he wants to hold it out. He does try to tough it out around the outside and gets saved incredibly. Does he defend over to the right? He does. So this will set up the run for Kerr down the big straight. Oh, has he overshot here? Nope, he's done it nice and tidy here. And there's the ERT car coming into play here, but here comes the good old switcheroo. He's going to forego the opportunity for the draft, or for a chance around the outside at the hairpin. That's going to be bold, and a bit of side drafting coming into play as well.
Yeah, I love this. Fantastic battle between Howanich and Kerr. It looks like Kerr on the racing line. More grip in the braking zone, and oh, okay. Had to be a bit of a backup there from Mikey, and that brought him back into Thomas. A little bit of extra damage to the front end of the ERT number 5 there. All right. Looks like that battle's sorted out for the time being. And good thing too, because remember Kobe Williams, Massimiliano Roldo, and Hayden Veld? Have a look at them. They are all together at the moment. Kobe Williams not having a great lap so far. He was quite some time ahead of Roldo when he came out of the pits, but now he's going to have to defend in the final lap of the race here. White flag is waved by Barney. There's Bo Albert, far and away from anything that has been happening in this race since lap 1. And it's all going to be duked out between these 3 for the last few positions in the top 10. Out of the final corner, Kobe Williams has the advantage. Great exit from him. A little bit of extra breathing room back to Roldo. And Hayden Veld right on the back of the number 14.
It's going to be a nice draft train here, but they're going to have to nail their marks not to leave them too exposed. Do any of them try to defend here? Nope, they're a bit too savvy to defend clean air here, because this is going to be the important part. Squeeze on the power. Excellent exit from Roldo. Kobe's still able to get a good drive here, but the draft not quite coming Roldo's way. He might be in range for a bit of a dive here, and that could get spicy with the 3 of them here.
Hayden Veld pops out of the slipstream to have a little look, but nothing doing at the hairpin. They remain single file. Slight lock up from Williams, but he lines up the power very nicely. Roldo, I think, is going to have to start looking in his mirrors more than looking forward at this stage. One more penalty coming in from race control, a 15-second time penalty for car number 12 of Matthew Bowler for contact with Kobe Williams on lap 1. Bumper to bumper, and oh, take it easy. Roldo with a compromised exit gets a bump from the rear from Hayden Veld. And it looks like Williams won't be under any threat. But through the last couple of corners, Well, Bo Albert, about as much of a drama-free race as you can get for the reigning champion. And he's going to take the first race win of AOG Porsche Cup Season 7. Very nicely done. The Pro-Am win will go to Tyson Broad, and Ben Peterson just defends it from Sean Linsell coming up to the line there for P3 overall. Excellent stuff there from Peterson and Linsell. And, well, it looks like Roldo and Veld, unfortunately falling off the back of Kobe Williams there. They will finish in that order.
Yeah, we take their eyes off them for 1 second, and something spicy happened. Let's have a look at the replay here. It looked like Roldo had it all wrapped up, but look at the run that Veld gets out of the stadium. Does he have a look? Indeed he does. It's a bold move. He's a long way up, but carrying a lot of speed. Yeah, a little bit clumsy in the end there, but I think Veld has recognized that and redressed that. So good sportsmanship there from the two of them.
Yep, good to see. Well, that's going to end things for the first race of the night. Bo Albert getting his championship defense off to the best start possible. He wins race 1, 5.2 seconds ahead of Tyson Broad, and it's another 6 or so seconds back to Ben Peterson. Sean Linsell and Zach Kerr will round out the top 5 here, with Mikey Howanich, Josh Thomas, Kobe Williams, Massimiliano Roldo, and Hayden Veld rounding out your top 10.
Thanks very much, boys, for that very entertaining top 10 race. Just sitting outside, we've got Alan Dawson and Ben Holiday, Ryan Kerr, Aidan Coote, who was up the front in qualifying earlier tonight and finds himself 14th. Steve Tonkin, I believe, was our AM winner in the end there. I might need to just check that one. Josh Lane in 16th, Corey McFarlane in a bit of the wars there as well, and likewise for the gentleman behind him in Corey Lazarus. Matt Bowler as well didn't have a straight panel left on his car by the end of that and couldn't show his true pace, so we'll see what he's got in race 2. And then in 20th place, Nicholas Garoy.
Indeed, with 21st place going to David Clark, followed by Tim Betts and Martin Lofthouse, plus Nick Tamores. Those two evidently had quite the battle towards the end. Simon Mazzomo comes home in 25th place ahead of Wade Sheedy. And then we've got Landy Wood, Burke and Lawrence rounding out the top 30 cars. Gordon Ramsay, unfortunately, has to settle for 31st. Patrick Harding and Isaac Edwards are the last 2 cars to finish on the lead lap. Thomas Hinz did see the flag, but 9 laps down. And Jonathan Solani, our pole sitter, unfortunately retiring from the first race there. A lot of potential, unfortunately, set into the ether there for the returning driver. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up ahead this season. Of course, Hockenheim at the moment, and then we go to Imola in a couple weeks' time, March 7th, for a super sprint. We've got a 5100 reverse sprint coming up at Manicourt as well. There's going to be some field inverts there, Ross. Really looking forward to that. But you know, it's a nice first half of the season here, going to some very nice circuits across the world.
Yeah, that's an amazing international lineup you've got there. Some Grand Prix circuits, good old street circuits there, and some tight and twisty American tracks in Barber, but something very, very different between Road America and Daytona. So the new track of Manicourt is being introduced as well, with the 50-100 sprint as well. So plenty to keep the guys very challenged here as well. And Monza GP, we know, is going to be a bit of a draft fest as well. So we've got a remarkable set of races coming up, and we know how these cars kind of behave under the brakes is kind of all over the shop. That's going to be an issue in quite a number of these tracks with how high speed some of them are, and the fantastic racing and overtaking opportunities all those tracks represent.
Indeed. That's the first 8 rounds of the championship, and they will all be broadcast live here on SimSpeed TV. We do have another half of the season, but I believe some of the tracks have yet to be determined for that second half of the season, so it'll be a nice surprise when we eventually see that. I'm particularly looking forward to the Belle Isle round, the split sprint at the street circuit in Detroit. A very enjoyable track to drive around Belle Isle. I really love it. It's very bumpy, and of course walls very close at all times, so there's going to be plenty to think about for the drivers there. But that's going to It's going to round it out. We're going to go on a quick break here on SimSpeed TV before we get into the action for race 2. Don't go away. We've only had half the night done so far. We've got another 17-lap race coming up.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. It's the 7th season of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Bowler Media. What an action-packed night it's been so far. We're only one race in to this many race-long season. Reese Gardner and Ross Rizzo with you in the comms box with Jay Kennedy on production. Well, Ross, what are your thoughts coming out of that first race? Because we had a bit of trouble keeping up with all the goings on. I think it's pretty typical for the first round of a new season. Plenty of drivers having a lob and coming off second, third, or fourth best.
Yeah, that's certainly one way to put it. We saw it was a very messy race, but exciting, very exciting to watch. But what we saw, I think, a lot of with some of those incidents, the guys not putting their best foot forward. We know how talented a lot of these guys are, and Bo showed that class out front, and actually that whole podium did an amazing job in that race. So I think they'll be keen to show everyone what they're really capable of, and hopefully not get so aggro in the opening laps.
Yeah, indeed. Race control were definitely on the drivers for that. Well, here's how they start. It is the finishing order from race 1. So Albert and Broad will share the front row. Peterson, Linsell, Kerr, and Howanich rounding out your top 6. And yeah, basically we've got a lot of drivers looking to make amends for this first for that first race. In particular, drivers like Veld, Dawson, and Holiday. Well, they started outside the top 20, and they're going to have to defend from drivers like Kerr and Coote behind them. Roldo looking to make up some time as well with a penalty in race 1. He could have finished in the top 3 were it not for that trip through the pit lane. Steve Tonkin will have to defend from the AM drivers behind him to try and take race win number 2. And a lot of drivers like Matt Bowler, they are finishing way down the order in that first race. He's got a lot of time to make up.
Yes, but we did see some good pace as well, so they'll have a second chance to show us what they're capable of. But Bowler, he's going to want to get a move on to get into the top 10. There's also some feisty competitors, the likes of Veld, Williams, and Roldo, looking to want them make their way to the top 5 and certainly, not least, challenge Bo for that win. Otherwise, he might scamper away with a nice round 1 victory.
Indeed he might. Albert, of course, starting from that top position, so he'll be hoping that he gets, number 1, a better run off the line than he did in the first race, and number 2, stays away from any drama that happens behind him. 2 minutes have passed. Albert gets onto the grid here, and 10 seconds remaining on the grid timer. Everyone is in place now, except for, of course, Jonathan Solani, our pole sitter for race 1, who retired after being involved in multiple crashes in that first race. Here we go then. Revs rise, and we're going to go for race 2 here at Hockenheim. Green flag, and that is an excellent jump from Bo Albert, but wheel spin from many others behind him. He's going to lead in turn 1. But lots of jostling for the positions behind as Mikey Howanich tried to get up the inside of turn 1. Unfortunately, that's going to leave him open to an attack from Thomas and Williams. Hayden Veld backing out of it. steaming up the inside, the number 99, and they go 3 wide through turn 2 briefly. Ben Holiday makes his way up into 9th spot, as that's a problem for Hayden Veld. Not the best of exits, might even be a slowdown. Side by side between Linsell and Thomas, the ERT teammates up ahead. And then have a look at all of this jostling going back in the field. But Bo Albert, once again, far away from any of this. Down to the hairpin they go. It's going to turn into a car park here, definitely, with Mikey Howanich spinning in front of the field and causing a massive pile-up.
Oh, that's such a shame. It was going so well, but then a lock-up just caused a massive concertina with no one else anywhere to go. And Massimiliano Roldo involved again. He's not going from bad to worse here. Oh, we've got a car off the road here to go 3 wide. We've seen this before, and it's not ended well. But it ends okay for Haveld, who picks up a spot on the egg.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go up the inside. Take it easy. Be very gentle. Yield there from Nick Garriich. Aidan Coote up behind him. And the 2 drop bear cars of Holiday and McFarlane. A Pro-Am leading a Pro there at the front of this pack for 9th spot. Matthew Bowler has made up some really good positions. Meanwhile, he's up ahead of these guys. He's in 8th place, up 11 spots from where he started. He is back in the fold now for some top positions.
Yeah, wasting absolutely no time, and someone else is not wasting time. Bo Albert out to 1.3 seconds already. Tyson doing his best to keep with him, but he's holding the Pro-Am lead. A look on the inside there from Josh Thomas on Zach Kerr, who's also wasting no time and getting back to where he thinks he should be, which is right up the front. We saw some good pace from him earlier, but look at the draft train already as we head down into the hairpin here. He's going to size up a move here, surely, but the draft from Pedersen protecting the 16 here, but he's going to have a lunge. He's going to have a look. He's thought about it, and he is going to commit to it. Plenty of room given from Kerr, makes the apex beautifully, and a textbook pass from Josh Thomas, and Kerr settles in behind, trying to mitigate that damage from losing the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and steaming in behind is Kobe Williams. It's amazing how... Oh, no, Pedersen is around. Looks like it was contact between him and Thomas. The number 5 going into the corner a little bit hot and just tapping Pedersen around. That is heartbreak there for Ben after a fantastic finish in race 1. He is stopped and having to make way for people. There's a spin right with him as well, just about. A lot of jostling further back in the pack for positions just in the top 20. Oh, no. That's a problem at Sachs Curve just as we go to the replay. We'll have to stay with that. That's what happened there to Pedersen. Just a little tap from behind. It looks like it was Corey Lazarus who went around at Sachs Curve there. Bit of contact between himself and Wayne Burke. And this is how it happened, Ross. Oh,
yeah, just 2 cars going for the same piece of road. Oh, and a massive avoidance there. Very good heads-up driving here, and but not so much here. He straightens him up though, which was I guess the sportsmanly thing to do. Oh, but he's looped it again on his own. These cars being very difficult to deal with under heavy throttle.
Garriich, AM-class champion from last season. His season 7 is not getting off to a great start, is it? Here's quite the battle pack. These guys all fighting for positions in the top 16. Josh Lane is the one who leads this pack, and he's got Wade Sheedy picking up the slipstream behind him. He pulls out to go for a move up the inside. On the brakes they come, and now Javin Wood nearly gets himself back into them. But Sheedy completes the maneuver on lane out of the hairpin. Looks like Alan Dawson defending from Loft House to Mores, and of course Peterson, who is now trying to make up some positions in car 81. He's fallen back to 21st.
Yeah, a bit of a fall from grace there for Kerr, but yeah, a couple of drivers who are leaving plenty of room, and others not leaving much room in terms of leaving room for error here. There are some guys with completely opposite ends of the spectrum of what they want to try and accomplish here in race number 2, and it working for some and certainly not for others. We've got Kobe Williams who's recovered up into 5th place. Matthew Bowler, who's called out before, he's up to 6th now. So
wow.
He's absolutely flying along with Linsell and behind, and Holiday having another strong race with Veld right in behind.
Have a look at this fight that could eventuate here. The drop bear duo with Synergy's Hayden Veld. Veld trying to line up Ben Holiday for a move here into turn 2. Yep, he's committed early here to the maneuver, and hard on the brakes they go. Track widens up really nicely here, which gives a lot of room for racing. Holiday is going to try and stick it here up the inside onto the straight, but that's going to give a potential double slipstream to Corey McFarlane, who makes it 3 wide here coming into the hairpin. This could end up in a very ugly way. 888 of Ryan Kerr given a black flag, as that is 2 positions gained for Corey McFarlane, but Veld's going to try and hold the outside. Can he get it done? Oh, McFarlane just gets out ahead of him, and Ben Holiday, unfortunately, wheel spin on the exit. Veld is going to try and maintain the outside through this kink and get the inside for the next braking zone. Oh, McFarlane has to give him room, and he does, and tries to get the over-under as a result. Hoi, easy, guys.
Oh, Veld's driven well tonight, and he's absolutely put that class on display up against the 2 drop bear cars, but he's not done with yet. Around the outside, is he going to try it here? He does think a little bit wiser of it. But there's another opportunity upcoming, but with the camber on the inside, you want to be on the inside, but McFarlane still wants to try the outside. Maybe a crisscross upcoming, but now look at the train that's formed behind them, and we're going to see something probably quite spicy going into the hairpin with all this draft happening.
Indeed. Looks like Thomas Hinz, Aidan Coote and Wayne Burke have latched onto the back of these guys. That's a problem in the gravel trap for Martin Lofthouse. He's, and there's another car involved in that as well. Easy on the re-entry. Goodness me. Nick Tamores. Doesn't look like too much damage there for Tamores. But there's Hinz now right in this. Late move from Wayne Burke behind, and looks like Ben Holiday having to give up that position. Now, Hinz trying to fight his way forward here. Remember, Hinsey qualified 15th for race 1 and was unable to get to the finish on the lead lap. Let's see what he can do from here up to now 10th place as Wayne Burke versus Aidan Coote into the hairpin. Coote a little bit deep. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a bit too deep, and Burke had to delay his turn, and as a result, we've got a replay on the bottom here for what happened. Oh no, that is no good.
A little bit clumsy there on the brakes. Well, what we saw here before with Burke was what I thought was going to be a little bit of co-opetition. We saw the pros not giving the pro-ams much of an option as how they wanted the overtake to play out. But with a little bit of a bump draft, Coote actually tried to get the move done and managed successfully. A little bit of contact, but now he's back ahead of Burke.
Yeah, that he is. See if he can hold on to it. Veld, McFarlane, and Hinz. Last few positions in the top 10 now, and they're starting to move away from Holiday, Coote, and Burke as Javin Wood has a problem coming up to Sachs Curve again. Got to be careful on the re-entry here. I'm seeing a notable lack of caution on some of the re-entries here, Ross. I don't know how race control is going to interpret that.
Yeah, it was an awkward spot to have to maneuver, but you did see him engage reverse a few times to try and get a better angle onto this. But now we've got an AM driver completely under attack from Ben Pedersen, who's been on fire all night, and they're 2 wide behind as well. And that move's going to get done. Oh, nearly contact, nearly the shark bite. The shark bumper nearly takes a bite out of the car in front of him. But Pedersen on the recovery drive in 16th place will need to get into the draft to try and size up a pass here, but I'm not sure where this car ahead of him is trying to go. But he's going to have to try and mitigate this risk here. Who's absolutely doing a great job in lane out ahead of these guys. How does he approach the cars behind him?
Well, he's obviously lacking in a little bit of pace here versus Peterson, and he's going defensive early, weaving a little bit to try and break the slipstream. We've got news of a replay coming in for Wayne Burke. What's happened to him here? Remember, he was fighting with Aidan Coote, and this was up at the hairpin. Remember that the positions were reversed on the last occasion, but Burke locking up on the way into the hairpin. So he is not rid of Aidan Coote just yet. Another replay. Looks like Ben Peterson has gotten by Josh Lane, and it happened here with Lane going off the circuit. Picked up an off track as a result, and Peterson round the outside. Room given, and away you go, mate.
That was pretty risky stuff. I bet Ben was a little bit nervous about that unfolding. And here we go, back up the front with car number 5 of Thomas having a look at Tyson Broad, who's been absolutely on fire out in second place, but he's overshot that, and he's going to leave himself vulnerable to both the cars behind him. Round the outside goes Thomas. Easy as you like. Does he pick up a bump draft from car 16, or does he have to fight a 3-wide battle? He's going to go for the middle here, is Zach Kerr. This is going to be a bold exchange here. Come on, guys, let's see how we can go through this one. Oh, and they've pulled it up lovely here, but there's 2 spots lost for Tyson Broad, down from what was second down to 5th.
Yeah, he's lost a position to Kobe Williams as well. Unfortunate there. But he'll try his best to stay in the slipstream. That's a lock-up from Williams. He's going to go deep. That gives another chance for Broad to snatch one of these positions back. But Williams protects the inside through the right-hander. And that's going to bring Matthew Bowler into this as well. 3-car pack. Bowler slings it up the inside of Tyson Broad. Broad has no choice but to stay wide and give him some room. And that's going to be position change complete there. Oh, there's amazing battling that we are seeing all throughout this field, and we've still got 10 laps to go after this lap is completed.
The difference a half a lap makes. Tyson Broad was at the head of this queue. He's at the back of it now, but still leading his respective class, most importantly. But his nearest rival is the car right behind him, so that's where his fight is going to be. He'll need to try and use the pros in front of him to see if he can mitigate any time loss. Oh, but he's just whiffed it, and now he's left himself vulnerable to Sean Linsell. Easy as you like, straight through.
Yeah, it looks like a slowdown penalty for Tyson Broad. And that's what happens if you go too far beyond the curbs at the exit of turn 1. Nice inviting tarmac runoff area, and you are able to use some of it on the way out, but you go too far and iRacing will say, no, naughty. You have to lift off for a couple of seconds. So that's calmed things down, the battle for second somewhat, but Williams and Bowler are together. See what happened here. Oh, wow. Love that. But that's what happened to Broad, unfortunately. Hit the curb a little bit wrong and got himself sent straight out into the gravel trap.
Didn't take much, did it?
Sorry, tarmac runoff. Why did I say gravel trap? Oy, oy, oy. There are some that say that it should be a gravel trap out there, but either way, we'll move forward a bit, or back a bit, depending on your position, because Corey McFarlane and Thomas Hinz now fighting here. Hinsey has made his way into 9th spot, and he's got Hayden Veld up ahead of him. This is going to be a spicy battle, especially considering that McFarlane bumps Hinz off the racing line. I don't think the driver of car 52 is going to be too happy with how that was executed.
He was certainly a long way in and very, very deep. Didn't give Hinsey much say in that, but now he's straight under attack from the car behind him, Wayne Burke, who certainly has some unfinished business from race 1 with other drivers, admittedly, but we know he's a feisty competitor. He'll be keen to get in front. He knows these guys from his time in supercars. Curious how the battle unfolds in these rear-engine Porsches.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the Australian touring cars, well, they end up doing lap times pretty similar to these Porsches, as that's McFarlane deep, and that looks like a redress of position, I think, letting Thomas Hinz back by, because he's immediately on the attack once again. Good on you, Corey. Sort that out nice and cleanly. There was another penalty for Nicholas Timores, it seems, for contact with the 87 car as defensive from Thomas Hinz. Martin Lofthouse was the car involved, and I think that was that very clumsy maneuver at Sachs Curve that we saw earlier that sent those 2 cars off. Also, a warning by Aidan Coote for contact with Burke. So race control starting to get a little bit more finger waggy for the incident at turn 6. So Thomas Hinz still holding on now to this 9th spot, but they've lost touch with Hayden Veld thanks to that incident between himself and McFarlane. And let's see what McFarlane can do to keep Wayne Burke behind him.
He saw a big speed differential just coming off out of the stadium section as he checked up for Hinsey in front. He was, I think McFarlane was sizing up a move, but it didn't. But the car kind of squirmed on him, and that left him extremely vulnerable to Burke behind. And he's still vulnerable. In fact, he's run it wide, and Burke just goes straight through. And he's got his teammate in behind him, who might give him a free pass, but he's going to need a bit of help to get back to the front. My goodness, he's had a bit of a wild couple of corners as McFarlane.
Yeah, wild couple of races, I reckon, with the varying fortunes that McFarlane has had. 24th to 17th in race 1, and now falling back a little bit, back to 11th place. Well, we check forward a bit to Kobe Williams and Matthew Bowler chasing down Zach Kerr here. Williams has the slipstream into the hairpin, and he goes for the move up the inside. Will he have overlap by the time they get to the turn-in point? Yes, he will. And Kerr turns in, but they make contact through the mid-corner and the exit, and Kerr with a better exit round the outside. Got it straightened up a little earlier, carried more momentum with the outside line. He's going to try and take this back here from the 994 of Williams. Bowler watches on with bated breath to see if he can get a position. Kerr with a bit of wheel spin, still maintaining this side-by-side with Kobe Williams. I mean, this is fantastic. There is no quarter being given to any of these guys. Bowler can't find his way through. The track is wide there, but it narrows up a lot through this turn, and Williams bumps Kerr into the gravel trap. Kerr has to get on the brakes and let Bowler by.
I don't think that's how Williams wanted that to transpire. There was a little bit of a bump draft, and he probably carried a little bit too much speed there than he wanted. So, but other than that, that was absolutely clean as a whistle driving and brilliant exchange from those two guys. But now we've seen the position capitalized from Bowler, who's still on this recovery. He's now into 4th place and sizing up Kobe, who might be a little bit frazzled after that. He might have to be thinking about, does he need to redress anything? Is there anything he needs to answer for up at the stadium section?
Yeah, I think despite the little contact, it was all fair from my perspective. Meanwhile, Linsell having to make way for Tyson Broad at the back of this pack. That's position exchanged between those guys. Broad back up to 6th spot after his unfortunate getting overtaken in the first part of this race. Oh, here we go. Late move for Matthew Bowler. Slings it up the inside of Williams at the hairpin, but goes deep. And Williams thinks, oh, I'll go under you. He will, but also Zach Kerr trying to go under Williams. And now the positions are pretty much back to what they were this time last lap. Oh, easy does it. Matthew Bowler up the inside, gets it done.
Oh, you really feel like Kerr could have had both of them if he could only just get the power down, but all that wheel spin. Oh, and he's still ragging this thing. This is remarkable. So he's still on the hunt and the attack here, and here comes Broad again. I'm curious how he's going to fight this one. He's got the class lead, but the 2nd place, as you can see, right behind him, and that's his real competition. But look at these two absolutely squabbling. Williams will take the opportunity to try and skip away and lock down P3, which would be a fantastic end to his eve.
Yeah, that it would. Williams facing a lot of drama in the first race, but race 2 has gone a lot better. He still had to deal with a lot of close battling, though. Look at the gap he has over them now. He's 0.6 of a second ahead of Bowler as they make their way out of turn 1. And looks like Zach Kerr is not done here. He's going to try and have a lob here at Bowler in the final few laps. They still have to consider Tyson Broad and Sean Linsell behind, the two pro-ams involved in this fight. Will Broad be able to make up any more overall positions? Broad still has the pro-am class lead, but the more distance he can put between himself and Linsell, and the more cars he can put between them, the better it will be. Well, Bo Albert, once again, very far ahead. Josh Thomas just skipping behind him, all on his own. And these 5 all in a line. There's a move. Have a look at that. It looks like that's McFarlane getting past Wayne Burke at the hairpin and holds on to the position on the way out. They got Veld and Hins behind them as well. Looks like Hins, while we've been not looking at him, has made up a good amount of time on Hayden Veld and is now harassing the back of him coming into the arena.
Yeah, given Hinsley's progress while we haven't been watching, you'll probably want us to swiftly look away at Wayne Burke, and we do. So chasing down the HRS drop spare and cozy car of McFarlane again. Still this battle rages on, but these guys, you know, Burke has been trying really, really hard at nibbling and trying to just keep the pressure on. And so far, it's working okay, but he hasn't quite reaped the rewards yet. But he's got a few more laps left to do it. But McFarlane is driving beautifully right now. But look at how smooth Burke looks in comparison. He's going to have a run into turn 1.
Yeah, he is indeed. The fight still goes on, though, between Williams and Bowler. It doesn't look like there's much of a change between McFarlane and Burke. And oh no, that's a spin on the front straight for Aiden Coote. Going backwards, he ends up doing a J-turn just about to get it turned around, but that's contact with the wall.
It was a good attempt, didn't turn out very well, but look at this here for Williams having to go defensive for the first time in a while. Bowler around the outside. We've seen this work before, but I don't think it's going to pull off this time. He needs to be careful on the throttle, and he does filter in nicely behind. Kerr did kind of get a run, but the risk was mitigated by Bowler there. So they're going to have another shot into here. I don't think quite close enough. We're going to go to another replay here of what happened with this odd-looking J-turn. A little bit too much curb. The car bounces, pendulums, and it goes every other way but straight and threads the needle in front of Pedersen.
Indeed he does. Well, Aiden Coote, unfortunately, it looked like the rear end broke away from him on the way into the corner, so there wasn't much he could do about it with the curb unsettling him further. Bowler still trying on Williams at Sachs curve, tried round the outside. That's the first time we've seen that all night, at least on the broadcast feed. This battle is going to continue right to the end at this rate, because Williams is hard on the defensive drive, and a slight whack of oversteer from Bowler means he doesn't quite get the exit he needs down the start-finish straight. And look who is continuing to lurk behind them. It is Zach Kerr. If there's any kind of incident between Bowler and Williams, he'll be right there to pick up the scraps.
Yeah, he's certainly in the best position to be on watching brief with these two as Bowler gets a nice little run. I think Bowler's got the slight advantage. I thought Kobe was going to skip away a few moments ago, but Bowler has reined him back in. And look at this. Kobe already recognizes the threat as he goes hard to the inside with Bowler sizing him up nicely into the braking zone. Does he get this pulled up nicely? It looks good. Through he goes, no issue on the exit, and here comes Kerr with a look at Kobe, but that looks like very much move done, and it's on, and the exchange is on in the background between Broad and Linsell for the Pro-Am lead, and it is Broad on the inside who would just get it done, I think. Yes, indeed, he has got that done. Nicely done.
Yeah, Linsell yielded. I think he recognizes there's still plenty of time left. It's only a few laps, but still plenty of opportunities, so he can easily get by. Kerr on Williams just up ahead. Meanwhile, goodness gracious me, Kobe Williams, now that he's been passed by Matthew Bowler, is losing a lot of time, and Zach Kerr is going to try around the outside. He almost holds on to it. There was overlap on the way to the apex, but he has to yield on the exit. So, can Kobe Williams keep it up? Both battles here on screen. Fourth place now between Williams and Kerr, and then Linsell versus Broad for the Pro-Am class lead. This is going to be a fantastic finish if it keeps going like this. Broad holds on versus Linsell coming into turn 1 and a cleaner run over the curbs. Linsell caught a bit more of the anti-cut and sent his car airborne briefly. Oh, but he's very late into turn 2. Oh, okay, that's slightly too deep there. Half a car's width wide of the apex for the ERT number 554.
And it's certainly hard to pick a favorite out of these two Pro-Am leaders. But look at the way Bowler has simply checked out in amongst that squabbling. He's made the most of the opportunity, and now it's going to be between Williams and Kerr to try and battle it out between these two, and that's exactly what Bowler wants.
There goes Linsell. Oh, goodness. Look at that. That is beautiful. What a shot. Tyson Broad going deep and allowing Linsell up the inside. So now they were in this same position last lap. Linsell has to lift because he can't do it. Oh, that's a big lock up ahead. That's Zach Kerr. Zach Kerr has made a mistake, apparently. Might have been contact, might not have been. Not too sure. Actually, no, it was a mistake. He mistimed his trajectory in the braking zone and got into the grass. Also braked late too. Well, either way, that's brought Kerr right back into this battle for the Pro-Am lead, even though he's not in the same class. Here's what happened. Too late to start with, and then onto the grass on the right-hand side. There was only one place that car was going to go, and it was off the circuit.
Yeah, simply a passenger at that point, and that certainly leaves Williams off the hook. So 1, 2, and 3 are sorted. Actually, second place is Josh Thomas, who has taken time out of Bo, but I believe he was involved in the incident earlier with Pedersen. So I wonder if there's a bit of a cloud hanging over his a potential post-race position change there. So still a bit more to play for. Well, certainly for 5th and 6th still for our Pro-Am lead.
It looks like Linsell has fallen off the back of Broad slightly. Now that Broad has picked up the slipstream from the recovering Zach Kerr. Yeah, you're right about Thomas, Ross. The last lap from the number 5 was 4/10 quicker than the leader. So I don't know if that gap's going to be able to be made up in just 2 laps, but either way, shows a lot of potential. That's not good for Hayden Veld. That looks like way off at the hairpin. Synergy driver not having a good time here. Remember, he was battling with Thomas Hinz earlier for the last position in the top 10. Black flag for Javin Wood we're hearing as well. I think that's for exceeding the incident limit. It is indeed. So that's unfortunate there for the 369. Well, Ross, it looks like we're about to get a replay of Hayden Veld's incident. Let's see what happened here.
So this exchange that's been going on with Hinsey. So on the brakes, just a bit late. Oh, and he's done the right thing there. Actually, full class to Veld there. He could have gone straight up the back of Hinsey there, realized what was going to happen, and simply took to the left. So all class there from Veld, but that unfortunately ends what was a really, really good night for him.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to settle now for a position outside the top 10 here. Looks like actually 13th is where Veld is now, but this fight still goes on. Tyson Broad holds on to the Pro-Am class lead, but he's got an overall top 5 in his sights here, with Zach Kerr still trying to get back into a rhythm from that incident. It is the final lap now, so there's plenty still potentially to happen. Kerr, Broad, Linsell, and Burke all together here, and McFarlane, you can see in the background, is starting to creep up on this fight. Will he be able to get it done here? Look at this a little further back, though. That's car 014 of Josh Lane losing spots to Ryan Kerr and Mikey Howanich. Alan Dawson up ahead, trying his best to get it done. Josh Lane, it seems, is the leader of the AM class, so you know he'll probably do well not to get too involved in something like this. He's got Massimiliano Roldo behind him too. Yeah, there's AM second place, Tim Betts, and it's going to become third place here if Dean Landy can pull this move off at the exit of the hairpin. Looks like it's done there. But hey, the race is over. Looks like Bo Albert coming through the final corners. It's going to be 2 from 2 from the driver who qualified in 6th. So a perfect, just about perfect opening round for our reigning champion. Josh Thomas comes home in 2nd, and 3rd place will go to Matthew Bowler. The potential from race 1 finally realised, with Kobe Williams in 4th and Kerr rounding out the top 5. The Pro-Am class win, is going to go to Tyson Broad.
And Burke ended getting ahead of McFarlane there. That night-long battle finally going the way of the Synergy Sim Racing driver. On screen we have, sorry, who is that? We've seen them a few times. Mikey Hunowick will cross the line in 16th place, just shy of the 15th. Ryan Kerr in 17th. And then there is our amateur race winner, Josh Lane. Fantastic drive, light and day ahead of the next in his class.
Absolutely. Well, they all come across the line. Landy and Betts complete your AM class podium, but it's celebration time for Bo Albert. He's been quite the journeyman in recent times. first with Evolution Racing Team, then with Altus Esports for many years, and now on his own as a privateer. But that has done nothing to stymie his pace and his momentum. What a fantastic drive it is from car number 1. And will anyone be able to overcome him over the course of this season? I know it's only round 1, but if that's anything to go by, drivers are going to have to keep out of each other's hair as much as possible to even get close to him. There are the results then. 3 seconds is the margin for Bo Albert ahead of Josh Thomas. Then Matt Bowler, Kobe Williams, Zach Kerr round out the top 5 overall. Broad, of course, taking the Pro-Am win ahead of Linsell, with Burke, McFarlane and Hinz rounding out the top 10. Much better race there for Hinzy.
In 11th, we have Ben Holiday, and 12th was Wade Sheedy, who recovered from early to lap 1 spill in race 1. So a great recovery there. Haydenfeld we saw in the wars towards the end there. Gordon Ramsay we saw backwards a few times, as ended up back into 14th from 31st on the grid, mind you. Great drive there. Ballon Dawson in 15th. Mikey Hanowick in a bit of the wars there from 6th down to 16th. Ryan Kerr. Massimiliano Roldo did not feature as much as we expected from his showing in race 1, but only has an 18th place result to finish it. And then Edison and then Landy rounding out their top 20.
Bull, big news. We see that Josh Lane classified 29th. He got a post-race drive-through penalty. I think potentially that's either... Yeah, that's exceeding the incident limit there for Josh Lane. So he's just lost the AM class victory. It's going to go to Dean Landy, car 416. Well, Betts, Lawrence, Garriott, Mazomo, Lofthouse, Coot, Tonkin, Timores, Lane and Wood will round out your top 30 there. That's heartbreaking there for Josh Lane, with David Clark, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Patrick Harding and Corey Lazarus a lap down, and Isaac Edwards unfortunately retiring from that one. Jonathan Solani did not take the start of race 2. Oh boy, what a night it was here for the first round of Season 7 of the AOG Porsche Cup. First up, we're going to have a chat to the race winner of both races here tonight, Bo Albert. Well, qualifying didn't exactly go your way, Bo, with a 6th place start and bogging down a little bit off the line, but it seemed like the Red Sea parted for you.
Honestly, like I was sort of thinking in hindsight, I'm like, if I actually ended up getting a good start, would I have been in the wreck? Like, you know, sometimes you get lucky, and you know, it's obviously not how I would like to win races. I'd much rather have a good fight, because, you know, guys like Salhani, Bowler, and a bunch of others had really good pace tonight. So it would have been a very good race up front. So sucks to win it in this circumstance, but with how competitive AOG is, like, you have to take the round wins as they come. But yeah, very much the Red Sea's parting.
Absolutely. Well, taking things as they come, I suppose I wouldn't be too off the mark in assuming that that's going to be your approach to this season. You're the reigning champion, of course, so you have a lot to defend and a lot to back up, but it's a long season, and as you say, the field is competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, obviously last year was 20 rounds, this one's only 8. So a lot of people might think, oh, it's easier, you only have to be on it for so much, or a shorter amount of time. The reality is mistakes now, because it is a shorter season, are just penalized more. So consistency is going to be key. So the goal for the season is just do the best I can. No matter what happens, just keep myself, you know, running laps. Because too many times in the past, I found myself normally with a round 1 curse, but I have a bad start off the first race, and then I just spiral and I tumble. So this season is going to be all about minimizing those results, making sure that, you know, if there's a day that comes where the best result I can get is 30th, take the 30th, because 30th is better than 31st, better than 32nd, and so on. So maximizing every point is going to be critical in this one.
That it is. Well, Bo, a very good round from you. Stayed out of trouble, came home with the victory. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for your victories tonight?
Just a big shout out to the guys at Aussie Online Gaming for putting this together. Dan, I know he's had a bit of a rough night with a couple of incidents that have happened. But well done to him for putting it on, as well as Jay and you guys, Ross and Reese, for the broadcast. Amazing job as always. And also a shout out as well to Virtual Racing School for the setup tonight. Was not bad at all.
Yeah, definitely seemed that way from the way that car was behaving. Bo Albert, excellent job coming out of the first round. Ross, I think I'll leave it to you to have a chat to the Pro-Am winner, Tyson Broad.
Tyson, you had a remarkable night tonight, picking up, having to fight for both wins extremely hard, but also mixing it up against the pros. So, how did you rate your first round of the championship?
Probably, if we're going on out of 10, probably about an 8. Just cut like hot attempts. I feel like I drove well, and then yeah, obviously just race 1 was just luck and the seas parted for me, and I just filled the gaps and just drove through.
It was an excellent, mature drive, and right at the end there, you had a magnificent exchange with Sean. So while you're battling Sean for that class lead, with the outright positions going on ahead of you, and that was a very spicy battle ahead of you with the likes of Bowler and Kobe. How did you manage? How did you manage to race from there? Did you have any risk appetite at all? And we see this almost race-defining moment for you as you run wide on the wrinkle strip in the slow-mo replay, the car squirming a little bit. You were definitely pushing to keep up, but what was the mindset going into those final few laps with Sean right on your tail?
It was just trying to keep my head calm. I found that sometimes in wheel battles I can get a little bit flustered and make a mistake, so it was just trying to keep myself calm and yeah, going around the outside of turn 7, I think it is, just kept my foot flat and didn't bother lifting. So yeah, that's just how I managed to keep the spot ahead of Sean. So.
Oh, well, excellent night for you all around. Anyone to give a shout out for?
Obviously series organisers, Dan and Tom do a great job of running the series. Jay and all the crew at SimSpeed for a great broadcast as always, and obviously Drop Bear Motorsport for all their support, along with their sponsors and Cozy Engineering Solutions, Highbird Racing Simulators, Revolution Race Gear, and Sam Blacklock Media, as well as obviously continuing to drive for Beyond Blue.
Great stuff, Tyson, and good luck for round 2.
Cheers.
Well, good stuff there from Tyson Broad, and we have the provisional round winner for AM class in the box with us. Tim Betts is with us at the moment. Well, Tim, pretty good run from you, it has to be said. I think a lot of that came down to avoiding some of the carnage in race 1 with 11 positions gained there.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I went. It was just avoidance and bit of luck, really.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way. How do you find the track in these cars? And something that we've been curious about is how drivers have been finding the car since the recent updates to it. Obviously, a handful at the best of times, but a very technical circuit like this puts it through its paces.
Yeah, definitely. It's she's quite slippy in the back end, especially on a couple of corners where you think, I'll just put the foot down here, but it doesn't like it. You've got to be very, very gentle on a couple of corners where before I think you could quite easily get on the power just that little bit earlier, but now, she's definitely a bit slippy back there. But it's definitely a handful, but it's still a fun car to drive, and the circuit was, I think these cars are really suited to this circuit. It's quite fun to drive.
Excellent to hear. Well, we heard from Bo Albert, the overall winner, that he'd be taking this championship one race, one round at a time. Is it going to be the same story for you?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I am certainly not the class in my field. There's quite a few drivers there that are definitely quicker than me, so I'll definitely be taking it one round at a time, and we'll see where we end up at the end.
Yeah, and hopefully we get another chance to talk to you soon, Tim. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank for your results tonight?
Definitely just the JWM boys. Without those guys, I'd be nowhere. They're a massive help, and Brewed Coffee for hitting us up with some sponsorship and some lovely coffee.
Excellent stuff. Staying caffeinated. That's Tim Betts there, winner of the AM class provisionally for round 1 here at Hockenheim, season 7 of the AOG Porsche Cup. And you know what, Ross? I'm really looking forward to this whole season, because look at where we're going for the second round. The Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola. Harsh curbs, harsh anti-cuts, and plenty of chicanes for the drivers to navigate there.
I'll bring it on. A whole new set of hazards and some excellent side-by-side exchange opportunities here at this wonderful circuit at Imola. So that round 2 will be one to certainly tune in for.
Yep, as you can see, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, right here on SimSpeed TV on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch on Tuesday, March the 7th. Be there or be square. Thanks very much, everybody, for watching. Big thanks to Bowler Media for your support of this series, and also to the crew at Aussie Online Gaming for putting this whole shebang on in the first place. Wouldn't have anything to broadcast without the efforts of league organisers throughout the AusNZ sim racing community. That's round 1 complete, and Bo Albert is your provisional championship leader coming out of this round. I'm Reese Gardner, it's Ross Rizzo with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy on production. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, bye for now, but not forever.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.